Hello everyone, and welcome to another kind of one-off, out-of-place video. I recently saw this good video talking about the more intricate and unknown details of Tyler the Creator's career, and they did it in the format of the Iceberg tiers. I'm not that clued up on the relevance of the iceberg trend, but I know I'm already kinda late to the party. However, I noticed that when searching for a Kendrick Iceberg on YouTube, I couldn't find anything, so I thought it might be a good idea to break down a Kendrick Iceberg created by Big Ugly Pewds on the Kendrick Lamar subreddit. So let's just get right into it. So to start off, we have the tier above the actual iceberg. Basically, even if you aren't a Kendrick fan, you're most likely still aware of this stuff. So to start, we simply have Kendrick's studio albums. Of course, with Kendrick being an internationally known artist, his studio albums are literally what define him. Those being Section 80, Good Kid Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. Humble. Of course, Kendrick's most popular song, becoming so big that it pretty much surpassed the album that it was created for. I'd argue that most Kendrick fans don't see Humble as his greatest song, however, it's certainly his most commercial effort. Interviews. This one is a bit more obscure with the wording, but I presume it's simply saying that the interviews Kendrick has done are quite iconic and memorable. Interviews like the ones he's done with The Breakfast Club and the conversation between him and producer Rick Rubin are very well known, with millions of views on YouTube. Kendrick, of course, has also appeared on several TV talk shows, like Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert, which could also be included in this interview section. Finally, we have Compton, of course being Kendrick's hometown, and a vital point of interest stretching across pretty much all of his albums. So in this section, we first start off with The Heart Part 4, a well-known single released by Kendrick in 2017. I assume this isn't in the top section purely because it's a single, and isn't attached to any bigger, more substantial project. If you, like myself, have only heard about Kendrick's The Heart songs recently, definitely go check them out. There's 4 parts as of now, and they're all excellent. Control verse. We then have mention of Kendrick's verse on the song Control by Big Sean. This was released in 2013, and at the time sent shockwaves through the rap industry, all due to Kendrick's harsh and ruthless verse. He essentially took aim at everyone, bragging that he was just on another level compared to them entirely. However, I'd argue it was the name dropping that was the most outrageous part, calling out specific artists like A$AP Rocky, Tyler the Creator, Mac Miller, and Pusha T. Good Kid Mad City Deluxe. We then have the Good Kid Mad City Deluxe version, which is simply referencing the extended version of Good Kid Mad City, which features 4 bonus tracks, those being The Recipe, Black Boy Fly, Now or Never, and Collect Calls, with 2 remixes of Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe as well. Then we've got the TPAB poem, which if you follow my TPAB analysis series, you'll be very familiar with. This simply references the spoken word poem that Kendrick performs throughout the entirety of the album, revealing it gradually as the album progresses, and then finally reading it in its entirety on the final track, Mortal Man. TDE is simply one of the labels that Kendrick Lamar is signed to. It stands for Top Dog Entertainment, named after the CEO and close friend of Kendrick's, Anthony Top Dog Tiffith. We then have a quite interesting one, mentioning how Kendrick is introverted, which after some research does seem to be the case. We can see here that Kendrick describes himself as introverted when he's not in what he describes as artist mode. He prefers to be alone so he can more appropriately reflect on his thoughts, although he knows how to step out of his comfort zone when necessary. To cap off this section, we simply have the mention of Kendrick's only other substantial stage name, K-Dot. He used this name primarily when performing as a teenager, however we've also heard it re-emerge on tracks like J-Rock's Wow Freestyle in the intro.
Hey K-Dot! Yeah.
Okay, so now we're below the surface, so I assume this is where we're going to start getting into the more unknown details. So let's start with Carl Duckworth. This is the name of Kendrick's cousin who shows up on the song Fear from Damn. He appears in the voicemail at the start and the end of the track. Keisha's song. This is a song off his first studio album, Section 80, and I assume what the creator of this iceberg is getting at is the true meaning of the track. The song revolves around a tragic story involving a prostitute called Keisha, and was recorded by Kendrick for his little sister, warning her to never become a prostitute. The song is also allegedly based off a real 17-year-old girl that Kendrick knew, who after witnessing her selling her body on the corner of a street, went back home and wrote a song about it. Damn in reverse. So this is referencing an idea that Kendrick pretty much established, that if you listen to his album Damn in a reverse order, you'd get a different story and meaning out of it. He even went as far as to release a collector's edition of the album, adding nothing new except all of the tracks being in reverse order. There's several times throughout the album where we hear passages of reversed audio, adding to this same idea. Overly Dedicated. Kendrick's first real splash into the music scene, with Overly Dedicated being a mixtape he released a year prior to Section 80. I think most people are aware of Overly Dedicated's existence, however I feel like a lot of people, like myself, simply haven't listened to the project as a whole yet. Under the Sun vocals. This references Kendrick's uncredited and short guest feature on the song Under the Sun, from the Dreamville Revenge of the Dreamers 3 album. The track also features J. Cole, Lute, and DaBaby, however you'll be able to hear Kendrick in the chorus of the song. Religion. Finally we have Religion, which is a bit vague, however I can assume not as many people know how integral religion is to Kendrick and his music. Although if you listen to songs like Alright, and look into the story of TPAB, or just watch my videos explaining the meaning of TPAB, you'll see how important and vital religion is in Kendrick's life, being the pinnacle of a lot of tracks he's made throughout his career.
This dick ain't free.
At the start of this section, we first have C4, referring to a mixtape released in 2009 where Kendrick still went under the stage name K-Dot. This mixtape has what Kendrick claims as one of his worst songs on it, however we'll get to that later on. Big Sean diss. This comes from what appears to be a leak from an old unreleased track where Kendrick is throwing shade at someone. The reason people associated it with Big Sean is that Kendrick uses the phrase "finally famous," which was the title of Sean's debut album. Black Friday. This was a track made around 5 years ago now, featuring Kendrick and J. Cole. The relevance of this track has more to do with the outcries for a collab album between the pair of artists, with this song being the only substantial collaboration they've ever done. I live version. This is in reference to the version of Kendrick's song I that shows up on the album To Pimp a Butterfly. Kendrick made the controversial decision to replace the studio version of the track, which had already been released as a single prior to the album's release, and put a rough live sounding version in its place, fitting tonally with the album. Connected Discog. I'm a bit unclear on what this exactly means, however the most I can take away from this is that indeed there are certain themes that connect a lot of Kendrick's albums together. Those themes being topics like black power, racial equality, and police brutality primarily. Levitate. This is a single from Kendrick's lesser known Untitled Unmastered project, which was much more of a jazz funk album as opposed to rap. Levitate is the 7th track on the album, with it being the most outlandish and out of place addition on the album, despite also sounding incredible. Bruno Mars sample. On the song Loyalty from Damn, Kendrick sampled Bruno Mars's song 24 Karat Magic. Not much else to say than that. Bad Blood remix. Finally, showing how genuinely out of touch I am with pop music, Kendrick featured on Taylor Swift's song Bad Blood, which has over 1 billion views on YouTube. Despite me not liking Taylor Swift's music particularly, Kendrick's feature on this track does go quite hard, so I suggest listening to it just for that at least.
Everybody put 3 fingers in the air.
Okay, penultimate section, starting off with TPAB original name. This is in reference to Kendrick's original idea for the title to be To Pimp a Caterpillar. This was because it fit in line with the grand revelation at the end of the album that he was telling the poem to arguably his biggest inspiration, Tupac. Of course, changing the 2 from a word to a number and taking the first letter from each word gives you Tupac. Damn original name. An alternative title was also considered for his next album Damn, this title being much larger than what we got, being What Happens on Earth Stays on Earth. Despite not being as catchy as Damn, it would still work well for the album, with the phrase being repeated several times throughout the album. Hates Raisin Bran. Now this is one I definitely didn't know, but apparently Kendrick is not only obsessed with breakfast and specifically cereal, but also despises Raisin Bran and any kind of wheat-based cereal. To be fair, you can't really argue with him. Def Jam. Before he signed with Top Dog Entertainment, Kendrick was initially going to be signed to Def Jam Recordings. He even had a meeting with CEO Jay-Z when he was only 17 years old. However, things simply didn't end up working out. Straight A student. Final one of this section, Kendrick was a straight A student in school, mentioning in an interview with BBC Radio 6 that he remembers school being pretty fun and easy, with him knowing what to do in order to get a good grade.
Banana pudding.
Okay, final section. Starting with Kendrick apparently appearing on the set of Tupac's California Love music video shoot. According to Kendrick himself, he went to the video shoot with his father, as it was fairly close to their house, with his dad boosting him up on his shoulders, giving him a good view of the shoot. Whether there's any footage that has surfaced of a young Kendrick actually being captured, I still don't know. First mixtape. Kendrick's first mixtape was once again released under the name K-Dot, with the tape being called YHNIC. I'd assume it's pretty difficult to get any physical copy of this, however I'm pretty sure there's bits and pieces floating around online in relation to this tape. You Real Story. This is most likely referencing the true story behind the song You, which revolves around his dead friend Chad. I go very in depth with this song on my You explanation video, so go and watch that if you want to find out more about it. Bitch, I'm in the club. Finally, we have arguably the magnum opus of all of Kendrick's music, Bitch I'm in the Club from the C4 mixtape. Now, despite Kendrick saying that this is probably one of his worst tracks, I think we can all agree it's not that bad, to be fair. And that wraps up the Iceberg. I enjoyed this video a lot, and I actually learned quite a lot for myself whilst researching, which is cool. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you like this video, a like, subscribe, and a share would be much appreciated. Also, turn on those notifications so you're notified whenever I upload. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.